Hi everyone, thanks for stopping by Pete's Garage. Well, let's get the cylinder head installed, a brand new carburetor, and we'll get this baby fired up. Alright, my cylinder head is ready to roll. I just put some rattle can paint blue on there just to get it painted. Again, I'm going to be rebuilding this engine again in the winter, so I just did this just so we can get it on the road, and I have it cleaned up minimally. But there's a few things I want to check, and you want to pay attention to inside the engine compartment on the block before you put it in. Now the first thing to find out is which one of these cylinder head bolt holes go through into the coolant passages. Those threads have to be sealed. And an easy way to test for that is just to put some air in there. So we have three holes here, one here and the two in the back, pass through to the coolant passageways. Second thing, there aren't any locating pins. There's no dowels in here for the cylinder head to locate on. So I have two bolts that I just cut the head off, and I'm going to use these as locators. So when I put the cylinder head on, it'll be located correctly. Clean that off a little bit. This is already nice and clean. So I'll put one in the back corner. Like that. And that'll just help guide the cylinder head on. Next thing is the head gasket. The head gasket can go two ways. It can go on this way, or I could flip it over and put it in this way. And how do you know which way it goes on? It looks symmetrical, but it isn't. These corner ports, this corner port and this corner port, are different shapes. And the only way it lines up is if I put it on this way. So, my head gasket on. Sure, that sounds easy. There we go. Now, that all lines up. Not only that, it says right here, no retorque, use no sealant. So, it tells you where not to use sealant. Now I can put my cylinder head in place. And for the bolts that need sealant, I'm going to use Permatex thread sealant with PTFE, or polytetrafluoroethylene for you chemical nuts out there. It's a white liquid, very, very thin, and it's just a light coating on the threads just to seal it and seal the thread from the coolant coming through. Now I'll follow the torque pattern in 3 steps: 55, 65, 85. System works on this engine is oil is pumped through the bolt. There's a cavity in there. It's pulled up through the pumped up through the bolt. It comes through here, goes up through the stanchion, through the rocker rail, and distributes oil across all of the rockers. Not that great, but that's what it is. So before I put the rocker rail on, I want to put some lubrication, some engine build lube on all of the tips of the push rods and all the tips of the valve. My rocker rail, I cleaned it all up. I took it apart. I made sure everything was moving nice and smooth. Clean up the springs, clean up all the passageways, and it's ready to roll. Torque to 35 foot-pounds. Now I blasted the exhaust manifold just to clean it up, and I coated it with the Eastwood hi-temp coating, this factory gray. This stuff works great on exhaust manifolds. And since the surface of the exhaust manifold and the surface of the head were kind of pitted, I have some Permatex Ultra Copper that I put on both sides of the gasket just to make sure it seals. Now, if you've been following along with this project since I started, I told you in the beginning that the engine was running rich, really rich, because the carburetor is too big. As a matter of fact, I started to do a tune-up, and I tried to tune the engine a little bit, and I had to put about 40 degrees of timing into it to get it running right, because there was so much fuel coming in, and with all that fuel coming in, and advancing the timing, you have unburned fuel, a lot of carbon. That was causing a problem. And that's because, if you can see, this is the carburetor that was in there. With that throat so big, it was letting a ton of air and a ton of fuel in. So the new carburetor, I put the new carburetor in and had great results. This is the carburetor that came with the car. You can see that it's considerably taller than the Autolite 1100, which this is the exact same one of the new one that I bought. I just happen to have a one handy. So they're taller. Now this one's taller, which was a problem, but let me show you the other dimensions. First, you can see the throat dimension here. This throat is completely different. It almost looks like this is for a truck. And the choke part is on the back here. It's kind of up on the top here. And you can see the difference in the size. This throat and this throat, they're different. So the carburetor, or the air cleaner for the car will fit on this one, but there's no way it's going to fit on this. Not only that, the bolt pattern on the bottom, the mounting holes are different. You can see that this, first of all, the size of the hole is different. Those are different. And the spacing between the two is considerably different. It was off by, like, I'm going to say it was 1/8 of an inch, almost 3/16. So in order to get this carburetor to fit on the adapter where this one was fitting, I had to take these holes and open them up slightly just to get it to fit. And I got it to fit. So I have the choke set just right. My choke is just partially open here. I should be able to... Now the throttle linkage is also... I had to change the throttle linkage because this carburetor is shorter, so I had to make this shorter. So if I give it just one pump of gas, let the choke set, turn the key, it should start right up. Perfect. Nice and quiet, no more exhaust leaks. And here's what it looks like with the factory correct air cleaner. Quick tune-up after I got it running. I was able to back the timing off, and now it sits right around 8 degrees before top dead center, just like it's supposed to be. So the carburetor is the right size for the engine. Everything worked out fantastic, and I'm dying to get it on the road. Thanks for stopping by Pete's Garage.